As a leader, what you get is what they see. If they see you working at 100%, they're going to put in 90%. If they see you showing up an hour early every day, they're going to start showing up 15 minutes early every day. Are all of them going to do it? Absolutely not. The ones that don't are not your people. You shouldn't be employing them anyway.
Hey, you Keep the Changers, welcome to another issue of Keep the Change. We're so glad that you're joining us this week. Every week, I'm going deep into the archives of automotive, trying to find the best leaders in the business to have a discussion with, to have a cup of coffee with. This dude here has been evasive, man. But I got to tell you, not because he's hidden from me, but because the guy's so darn busy. And he is an absolute legend in automotive in terms of leadership, in terms of marketing, in terms of sales training. He's been in this game for 30 years. And when I say his name, you'll say, oh yeah, that's my man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Keep the Change, Frank Lopes. Frank, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Bart, thank you, my friend. A little, would you say elusive, right? A little elusive there, but finally we were able to lock down schedules and everything and to get this, to get this recorded and to get this done. It's an absolute blessing and a pleasure to be here with you, my friend. And I can't wait for us to chop it up.
Yeah, man. You know what? This is really fun. I really love doing this podcast, not as much, Frank, for technical skills for sales. I've done that. The thing where my heart really came in with this podcast initially, Frank, I did it because I was telling my recovery story. And I would bring people on this podcast that had been in the pit and got to a place of peace. People that you know in automotive, David Long, people that you know in automotive, Ed Roberts, and people that maybe aren't even in automotive, but are great leaders. And as I was talking the first of the year with Michael Cirillo last year, we were talking about what's the word we're looking for to really define this podcast. And I believe that we decided, matter of fact, I know we decided, it was going to be transformation.
I like
That's
that
your,
word.
is that a great
That's
word?
good. That's a great
It's
word.
it's used a lot, but not just in transformation and how I went from 10 to 15 cars a month, but transformation in our mind and our soul and our leadership.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd really like to tap in with you today, if I may. You've been in this game a long time. You've had incredible success. You're the CEO of Strong30 Automotive, which is an advertising and sales training company. You've gone to dealerships all over the country. You have some of the really big name clients on your board. And you can come from a place that is going to really bring a lot to the table. But before we do that, dude, tell us about you, man. Tell us about who you are. Tell us what makes you tick. Tell us, and we only got 35 minutes. What got you from where you were and where were you to where you are right now? You go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my whole thing, man, my whole thing is just to help people. That's really it, man. The more people that I help, it's amazing. The more people that I help, the more help that I get when I need it, when I need it the most is, that's what goes on. And I love that word because we have an opportunity because of our voices, because of the influence that we have an opportunity to truly transform lives. And when I'm talking about transforming lives, I'm not talking about transforming the life of the person whose name is on the building of the dealership. I ain't talking about that guy or gal. To be quite honest, I'm not really very concerned about that guy or gal. I'm really not. And some of the buildings that I walk into, they got some pretty big names up on that outside on that wall and on that stanchion sign. And it sounds horrible, but I don't really care. I care about the people inside the building. Those are the people that I have the opportunity. And also that name on the outside of the building, those are the people that we have the opportunity to transform their lives. As you know, Bart, my favorite saying is thank God for the car business. And I feel very passionate about that saying. I feel very passionate about transforming lives. I was one of those people. I'm a first generation American. My parents came here from Portugal in 1967. My dad worked for a bus company from 67 until 74. And then in 1974, he got a job at a car dealership because the bus company that he was working at, that bus company went out of business because the owner of the bus company wound up developing cancer and wound up passing away. If not, my father would still be working at that bus company. But, but that happened, and they had just bought a car. And so my father, without having a lot of connections or anything, only being in the country for a few years, he went to the dealership where he purchased the vehicle, and he asked his salesperson, "Hey, do you know, are they looking for any help in the back? Like in the shop in the back. I work on buses. I can work on cars too." And his salesperson brought him to a gentleman named Joe Frint. And Joe Frint interviewed my father for about 15 minutes as he tells the story. And he then said, "Okay, when I need somebody, I'll give you a call." My father left thinking that nothing was going to happen. But he got home an hour later. Joe Frint called and said, "Okay, you start on Monday." And my dad didn't question it or anything like that. He just came in on Monday and he went right to Joe Frint and he asked Joe Frint, "Hey, I don't have a lot of experience in working on cars. I only worked on buses before. You told me you would call me if there was something, and then you called me an hour later. Like, why did you call me back?" And Joe Frint said, "Because you're Portuguese, right?" My father said, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, I heard somewhere that Portuguese people were hard workers." So 34 years later, my father retired from that dealership. You know,
What?
yes. So are Portuguese people hard workers? Absolutely. And I started going to work at that same dealership, D'Amico Lincoln Mercury on Route 18 in East Brunswick, New Jersey. I started going to work with my father when I was 11 years old, right? I make the joke all the time. My dad is the person who invented Bring Your Child to Work Day. Okay. But for him, it was a little different. It was bring your child to work every day that there wasn't school. Right. So from 11 years old all the way through, if I didn't have school, I was at the dealership with my father working in the shop. I was sweeping floors, taking out trash. And then one day my father, couldn't find anything for me to do. And he says, "Go up in the showroom and wipe down the cars on the showroom floor." Now, I had never been in the showroom before, Bart. There was never a reason to go in the showroom, right? And anybody who's watching who is a first generation American, who's the child of immigrant parents, that you kind of stay in your lane. You stay in your place. You do what it is that you're supposed to do. And you don't vary from that. You speak only when you're spoken to because everybody has a hang up about their speech from, immigrants have hang ups about it. They have accents and stuff like that. So I never went up in the showroom. So then I go up into the showroom, Bart, and there was this long tunnel between the shop and the showroom with this big steel door in between it. This door felt like it weighed 3,000 pounds. And I open the door and I walk into the showroom for the very first time. And, I discovered the most amazing thing to me at 13 years old at this time. I discovered the most amazing thing in the showroom of the dealership. Bart, what do you think that amazing thing was that I discovered?
In the showroom of the dealership, the most amazing thing,
That I discovered my first time walking in.
a beautiful red, what brand was it?
It was Lincoln Mercury.
A brand new Lincoln on the showroom floor.
Okay, well, there were brand new Lincolns on the showroom floor. There were guys in suits wearing cufflinks, right? Smoking at their desk, doing deals, right? There were all these things that were going on. But you know what I discovered, Bart?
What
Being,
was it?
13 years old in the middle of July, I discovered air conditioning. There was air conditioning in the showroom. Everybody in the shop is back there sweating their what's off. And I go walking into the showroom and I've got this cool air. And I'm like, oh, I got to find more ways to be up here. I got to find every way I possibly can to be up here. I graduate high school. On a Saturday, Monday, what do you think I'm doing? I'm taking ups. I'm doing I'm doing it. I'm already into it way too early, my friend. Way, way too early in life. I was nowhere near ready mentally or emotionally to be able to be doing that at 17, but I got the crack. I got the shot. So, of course, I was going to take it. I did it for a little while, didn't like it, went back to school, realized school wasn't really for me. Where do you think I went? Right back to the car dealership again, right back to the same dealership, you know? And I have been involved in this business. I've been blessed, thank God, to be involved in this business. And like I said, my focus right now is to make impact, to transform the lives for more and more people to understand that saying, thank God for the car business, is not just a saying. It's not
Mhm.
just like a hook line. You know what I mean? It isn't just a headline. It's an actual, real, powerful statement. It's a
Mhm.
declaration. Thank God for the car business. Because if it wasn't for the car business, you and I would not be together right now. If it wasn't for the car business, so many people would not know me. I would not know so many other people. I would not have the opportunity to help them, right? To help them with recovery, to help them with transformation of their life, to help them with actually building a life, raising a family, buying a house, buying cars, sending kids to college. All of these things are all possible for a whole entire group of people that under normal circumstances would not have the opportunities. That's why I declare, thank God for the car business. Because if it wasn't, who knows where so many of us would be, Bart? Who
Mm.
knows?
Frank, I love your passion, man. And I didn't know the story, so I didn't know what is it and why thank God for the car business. And the way you put it, it makes so much sense because it changed your life. It changed your dad's life.
Right.
And
Thank God. Exactly. Thank God for the car business because the car business and this perception that Portuguese people are hard workers gave my
Mhm.
father the opportunity, right? The car business gave, and it changed, honestly, it changed my family's life. It completely changed their lives, right? And then the exact same thing happened for me. The same thing happened for my wife, for Andrea, who was a internet sales manager at a BMW dealership in Knoxville, Tennessee. Completely changed her life. She was able to buy a home, to buy a car, to do so many absolutely fantastic things. Just like so many thousands of people who are watching right now, we all say, thank God for the car business. The car business is creating a career for my children, for my daughter Julie, who's an internet sales manager, number one internet sales department in all of Hudson Automotive. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think it's
Oh,
69, or I think they just bought a bunch of stores. So I think they're like 85 dealerships all across the
mm,
South. For my son Frankie, who is a sales manager at a Penske Porsche dealership now, thank God for the car business again because it's providing opportunities. That's why I say I don't care about the name on the outside of the building. I care about the people inside the building because their lives can truly be transformed.
when I started looking at the goal setting for this year, it came to me through a still small voice. Some of us get that still small voice. We get where that comes from. And that voice said, quit writing down number goals. I don't want you to write down any number goals. Build it and it will come.
Yes.
What that voice said was, I want you to transform 10,000 lives in the next 5 years. Now, for some of us, for you, that might not be a big number. For me, it was the number. But guess what happened? In May, I went to Africa. Never been to Africa before, went with a group of men, visited my friend Malinga, who's a friend of the podcast, who spent 3 years in prison in Africa, falsely imprisoned when he was a young pastor, who now has a church in Zambia and Lusaka, Zambia, that's rocking. And I got to speak on this stage, right? And it was unbelievable. I came back I came back to the world in Arizona and my it it was because I was listening and being obedient to the cause, my world shifted and changed. I won't bore everyone with all the details, but it exploded. It changed because I was listening to that voice. That
Yes.
voice wasn't about dollars. It was about how many lives can you transform? And I'll land this and then I've got some questions for you, man. But that transformation changed, man. It wasn't transform 10,000 people in the next 5 years. It was not, no, and I don't get it. It's one of those big, hairy, audacious goals that I don't have any idea. He said to me, I want you to transform 10,000 people in the next 5 months.
Yes.
What?
Yes. And you did it. You listened to the calling, you listened to the
Yes,
word, and what happened? And it happened. And it's
it's
happened.
happening. Yes,
And
every day. Yeah,
it's that's really, it is that simple, Bart.
yeah,
It is
it
that
is.
simple.
Yeah,
Listen to the
yeah,
word, walk in faith, make sure that make sure that your steps are aligned with his,
yeah,
and
yeah.
everything will work out.
Yeah, yeah, that's so good. That's so good because and I really want to talk about Pops, man, but I'm gonna come back to that in a few minutes because your Pops is incredible. He's got this incredible passion about him. The conversations that you share on the socials with him are so great. And I want you to, before we leave today, you got to tell us how he's doing. But
Yes, who?
I want to talk about when you talk about a first generation immigrant starting in this business that changed generations of lives within the Lopes family, which gives me chills as I talk about it. Talk about some challenges that led you to where you are today. Entrepreneur, leader, influencer within automotive. Talk about some of those early challenges, mid challenges, recent challenges that really shaped how you lead today.
So I can tell you about a few. I can tell you about a few. One comes to mind right now, and I was extremely blessed, Bart, because in 2002 I met. And this has nothing to do with automotive and everything to do with my life in automotive at the exact same time. In
Mm.
2002, I was blessed. I got a lead I got a lead from somebody who worked at a television station, and she said to me, "You should go meet this guy. He's running a liquor store up in Springfield, New Jersey, but he's really unique. You got to go see this guy, right?" And I'm like, "A liquor store? What in the world am I going to do with a liquor store, right?" And so I don't call the guy. Okay? I don't call him for 2 weeks. And then one day, my phone rings and I flip it open, right? 2002. I flip it open, I answer the phone, and I hear, "Is this Frank?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's Frank." It's like, "This is Gary Vaynerchuk from Wine Library." And I'm holding the phone, Bart, right? I'm holding the phone, and I'm like, right? This is what I get for for not letting it just go to voicemail, right? But I've been trying to get a hold of you, right? So, as anybody who's watching who doesn't know the name Gary Vaynerchuk, right? I'm talking about, if you're on social media at all, you know the name Gary V. So I
Yes.
was blessed, so I was blessed to be Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V's advertising agent from 2002 to 2009. From the
Frank
big,
12, get out
Yep.
of town. You
From
kidding me?
from February of 2002 until he opened VaynerMedia in 2009. The two of us worked like this, hand in hand. So, what does a wine store have to do with anything in automotive? It's got everything to do with automotive because I was blessed that I was able to be exposed to so many things right on the cutting edge. I'm talking about Google AdWords super early, YouTube super early, Twitter super early, Facebook super early, and I was able to see the actual impact. I was able to see what could actually be done with this new media, which, as a matter of fact, look, which we are participating right now, right? We are participating in right now. Some of the challenges come from that time, believe it or not. Two major opportunities. One of them was being able to invest well, actually, it's three. One, being able to invest in Twitter early round, which I passed on. That was through Gary Vaynerchuk. Being able to buy shares of Facebook from, you ready for this, right? From family, from actual family, being able to buy shares of Facebook, which I passed on. And the third one, which really was the biggest one, which leads right back to here, is February 2006. I get a call 5:30 in the morning on the phone, right? And it's Gary, and it's like, "I got this great idea. You got to come and see me. You got to come see me today. You got to come see me," because that was the way a lot of the times we worked. It was just, "I got to come see you. Get over here." Go to see him, and he tells me that he wants to start a actual wine show, like a TV show, a wine show. And I'm like, where are you on TV? This is great. And he's like, no, not on TV, on YouTube. And I remember sliding back. He had these leather chairs in his office, right? And I slid into the leather chair like this, right? And I'm like, and he goes, that's not the real idea. And I'm like, okay. He goes, I'm going to do a wine show, but you're going to do a show too, Frank. And I go, what am I going to do a show about? You're going to do a show about selling cars and advertising and the car business and everything. You know all about that stuff. People will absolutely love it. And I said, Gary, ain't nobody going to watch you do a show about wine the same way ain't nobody going to watch me do a show about selling cars or the car business or anything like that. And hence, what are we doing? We are right here, right? We are right here, right now, making that, making that prophecy, Gary's prophecy actually true. In 2009, I suffered through a major loss, just like so many other people did. Saw Gary again in 2011, and he looked me dead in the eye and he's like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? And he's like, what are you doing? How come you're not doing what I'm doing? Bro, we did it all upstairs together. We were in Wine Library, right? In the liquor store. He's like, we did it all upstairs, right upstairs. We did it together. You were there. You were part of the architecture. You drew the blueprints. You know exactly what to do. What do you need? Permission? What are you upset because you failed? Because you went bankrupt? Because you lost everything? That you think that you need permission? Fine. Here is your permission. Now go. And I haven't stopped since.
Oh,
I have not stopped since. I was going through a huge amount of internal disgrace and internal shame for going through what I went through in 2009. But the reality is that, Bart, nobody cares.
yeah, yeah.
Nobody cares. People forget and nobody cares. And as long as you provide value today, that is all that matters, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
all that matters. So once again, thank God for the car business. Thank God for Gary Vaynerchuk. Thank God for that day in 2011, right? And thank God that we get to be here right now and do this together.
And that's so good. I heard Kenny Dillingham, head coach at Arizona State, talking about his team in their adversity. And he said, nobody cares. Nobody is thinking about Frank Lopes or Bart Nollenberger. They're thinking about how are they going to make it in 2026, right?
That's right.
And I heard Jay Shetty say this yesterday. Actually, I've just started listening to him a little bit. His beliefs are a little different than mine, but I really love his accent. So he could be honoring to it. He's a former monk, right? Jay Shetty. But
He
he's
has access to the guests. That's the thing. He
yes.
has access to the guests.
Oh
So
my gosh, does he? But he was talking about taking the attitude of the past, and I'm rephrasing it to Nollenberger, but blowing up the things in the past that didn't get you what you wanted and let them go. And
right.
realize that we have to clean that slate if we're going to get what we want going forward. We can't carry the past into the present. Look, I've been there, you've been there, we're in the pit, man. We're broken. I have shame in my past. I don't have no shame in my present, right? I've got
Right.
peace. And the reason I have peace is I don't live in the past at all. And as somebody's listening to this, no matter if you own a dealership or you're a salesperson or you're sweeping floors, it doesn't matter. If you're listening to this, the past, Tony Robbins says it best. The past is history, right? The past does not have anything to do with the present or the future. It has
That's
nothing
right.
to do with it. John Maxwell says, ask better questions, get better answers. I love asking what I learned. I know exactly what I learned from last year. And I look at it every day. I've got a massive awareness with it, right?
That's right. Past
So,
results have nothing to do with future returns.
no, beautiful. Bring it,
There you
baby.
go.
Come on.
Right?
Bring it.
Go look at the bottom of any financial investment, investment advertisement, and it will say past results have nothing, past results do not predict future returns.
Amen.
That is true. They don't.
So what belief did you have to grow as a leader? Again, today we've talked about the success of your family. You're a great father. You're a great husband. Love your marriage. Publicly, you've shared your marriage. I've met your wife. You and I got to be on the same stage together in New Jersey near your home and be it by appointment only. That was quite a treat for me to hear you. You were the first one on stage. It was so fun. I wasn't supposed to get on stage, and I got asked to get on stage at the last minute, and it was such a treat. But to see you two together, you're partners in this. I believe that's so true in my marriage. I love my wife so much. We're partners in everything we do. So who you are as a human really shows, and success leaves clues. So what beliefs did you have to really let go of and take on to grow as a leader in what's going now in your world in 2026? Let go and bring on.
Yeah, it's really two things, and one of them is what we just said, right? Past results do not predict future outcomes. They don't.
Mm.
So just because, just because I failed in the past, just because I didn't do things 100% right, just because of any of those things does not mean that's the way this story is going to continue. Just go through the Bible and look at every single person that God uses to do great things. They're all broken people.
Yes.
Every one of them, right? Every one of them was messed up. Every one of them had a shaky past. Every single one, right? And so that's number one, understanding that. And number two was obtaining the power and the ability to be able to continually think bigger. Bart, if you can't see the picture, okay, and the picture does not have to be 100% super HD, 900, like 4K or 6K or 9000K. It doesn't have to be that way. If you can just see the picture in your mind of what is possible, then
Mhm.
that means that what you can see that is possible is now probable for you. That is something that hurts a lot. That hurts a lot of dealers, a lot of general managers. That hurts a lot of operators. It hurts a lot of salespeople. It hurts a lot of people. They can't see the real, true potential of their businesses, of their teams, of their legacies. They can't see their own personal potential. They can't really understand. They can't see the picture. Every time they look, all they see is the present or the past. You need to
Mm.
be able to see a massive, huge future. Whatever it is that you're doing, it doesn't matter. Bart, you're talking about influencing 100,000, 10,000 people. You know what I say? Why so low? Why not?
Exactly.
Why not 100,000 people? Why not, you're talking about Tony Robbins before, right? Tony Robbins with this thing about feeding people, throughout the year and everything, and it went from 100 to 1,000, and then he started saying, why not 100,000? Why not 1,000,000? Why not 100 million? Why not? Why not? And that's the
Yeah.
real thing. That constant question of why so low? Why is the number so low? When I was a salesperson, I had this general manager. His name was Elio Principato, and Elio would walk
Beautiful,
around.
beautiful name.
That
Elio
is
Principato.
Elio Principato, right? So
Yeah.
Elio would walk around on Thursday afternoons with the checks, Bart, with everybody's check. And your check would be in front, and behind it would be your washout sheet for the week, right? Showing the deals that are on your thing. So
Mhm.
he would walk around and he would give he'd look and he'd give you your check. He'd go to the next salesperson, give you your check. He always went to me last. And he would go to me and he'd walk up to my desk, and he had this little tick about him where he would like go like this all the time. And he would grab my check, he'd look at it, and he'd make a little face, like he was a little constipated. He'd make a little face, and then he'd go and he would give me the check like this, face down. He'd give it to me face down and he'd say, "Why so low?" And then just like throw the check like this, like just throw it at me. And I would look at it and maybe it wasn't a great week and there were only 4 deals on it. And I'd be like, yeah, why so low? He's right. So my highest ever sales month, okay, 47 vehicles in
Yeah.
1 month.
Oh, wow.
47 vehicles in 1 month. I get the last check of that month. It's got I think it had like 18 or 19 deals on it. And
Mhm.
Elio gives it to me the exact same way. He looks at it and he goes, "Why so low?" And it gives it to me. And I'm like, the hell with this guy. I can't take this anymore. What in the world's going right? I march right into his office, and he's like 3 steps ahead of me. That's it. I walk right into his office. I close the door. Bart, you know what happens when a 19-year-old kid walks into the general manager's office and closes the door behind him, right? Like, this is not going to be good. So, and I take my check, I throw it on his desk, and I say, "Man, every time you give me this check, give me a check, you say, why so low? What is it with the what? That check's got 19 deals on it. What is it with the why so low?" And he looks at me and he says, "Frankie, I've been waiting for you to come and ask me why so low. I've been waiting." You know? He says, "Because no matter how much that money is on your check, no matter how many deals are on your washout sheet, there can always be more. There can
Mhm.
always be more. So you need to always ask yourself whenever you look at something, why so low? Why so low?" He goes, "Now give me that check. Give me that check." And I go, "What do you want in my check?" And he goes, "You can't handle a check that big. I'm going to give it to your father to take home to give to your mother to put in the bank. Give me that check back." And I had to give him my paycheck, and it just disappeared. It was just gone. Now, of course, my mother put it in the bank for me and everything, right? Because I'm 19 years old. What am I supposed to do with a check like that? With
Yeah.
19 deals on it. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So that you hit on some, and I got this. Why so low? I love it. And you said, why only 10,000? Love it. Love it. So as we're looking at we're talking to our audience, and sometimes we don't think big enough, whatever role that is. How do we get people to open up their mindset? Martinelli, I don't know if you know Paul Martinelli is, but he was a founder of Maxwell Leadership. And his story is fabulous. If you ever get a chance to look him up, he's from Pittsburgh, high school dropout, ended up working for the on the streets for who's the guy that ran for mayor of New York City.
Curtis Lewa.
He worked for Curtis. He was his right-hand man as a kid on the streets of Pittsburgh. He did that. And, he ended up working for Bob Proctor, and then he worked for Les Brown. And then he had an opportunity he met John Maxwell's landscaper. This is such a great story, Frank. He met his landscaper. I don't know where it was, at the dinner, whatever. Maybe he looked for him and stalked him. Who knows? But he met Scotty Fay, and Martinelli said, "I got an idea. I want to take, I want to get Maxwell together, and I want to create a coaching company where we take John's materials and build coaches all over the world." He had actually made that proposal to 20 other people, and he got shot down. One of them was our current president. And he brought it up to Trump. And Trump said at one point, I think he was close to getting Trump to say hello. He had his book out at that time, but again, close. But he said to Scotty, "I need to get in front of John." John said, "Well, Saturday mornings, he's hanging out by the pool. I happen to be in the backyard. I'll open up the gate. You come on in and you can meet Maxwell." Talk about stones, right? So
Yeah.
Martinelli, high school dropout, had built other businesses, had gotten them up to a great point, had failed, had business opportunities that failed, had a great idea, and ran with it. He sat in front of John, told him his idea, and John said, "That's a good idea." John took it to his team. His team went, "No," just kind of like you did.
Yeah,
You would,
yeah.
Gary. No. And then John said, "Well, you know what though? He's going to give me 400 grand to start. He's willing to put his skin in the game. And then he's going to pay me, I think, 1 million every 4 months." And I could be wrong on that, but it was pretty close, right? So he had let's say it was every 6 months. So Martinelli had his skin in the game and was going to cut John a check every so many. Every time, I don't know if I should even say this, but it's okay. Your audience is pretty big, so a lot of people are going to know this. Every time you ended up buying something from Maxwell Leadership, a book, a shirt, anything, events, it all went to Paul Martinelli and Associates. Every single thing dripped right into Martinelli's thing. He became a partner with John. They built this multi-million dollar coaching program. Martinelli was eventually, he was bought out because John was buying his companies back, but Paul got a really good check. But the moral of that story was he heard a still small voice and he didn't think too small and he ran with it. And he just had a belief system that you can't ignore. Where do you think that still small voice comes from? You've got to run with it. So, having said that, today, Paul has a number of other companies he's part of, but the John Maxwell team, when Paul left, had 50,000 people in 164 countries. It
Wow.
started, brother, with nothing.
It started
In
with ambushing John Maxwell by his pool.
his backyard.
Yeah, that's where it
John had
started
his
from.
John had a Speedo on, reading his book in the backyard, and in comes this Italian dude from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I'm embellishing a bit, folks. Still, he didn't have a Speedo. So I just love that story. And if you know Martinelli, he's now on stages all over the world. He's a great influencer. He's just a great human. And it's just such a great story. And it's been very inspirational for me. From high school dropout to multi-millionaire and a partner with the number one leadership coach in the world. So forget those ceilings. So let's talk about those people in the business, though.
Yep.
How do they overcome that, Frank? How do they don't have enough, they have a ceiling. How do, especially when we're in 26, how do they blow up that ceiling? They have an extraordinary, forget the economy, forget the tariffs, forget all the stuff that says you can't. What are the things that they need to do to overcome in 2026?
Well, that you just said the first thing right there. They have to stop believing that the ceiling exists. They have to stop believing in circumstances, and they have to start actually executing a plan that has some type of an end result, some type of a goal in mind. And a lot of times they don't, a lot of people that are in management at automobile dealerships, they don't even dare to go down this road. Number one, they're scared that if they start to open up their mouth and if they start to talk about plans and things like that, they're scared, first of all, that they're going to wind up losing their jobs. They're going to wind up making too many, they're going to make too many waves and stuff. And, oh, this guy thinks he knows what he's doing. He thinks he knows everything, this, that, and the third, and they're going to wind up losing their jobs. If anybody's watching and you're in that type of a position, it probably means that you're working at the wrong dealership. Okay. You're
Mhm.
probably in the wrong space. So number one, you need to get out of that space. So it has to be understanding that most managers, the ceiling that's there is a ceiling that they actually allow to be there. The ceiling is made of paper. You can bash right through it, but you better have a plan. You better have a way to execute. You better have an end result. And man, you better be able to sell those four things to the people that are going to say to you, okay, good, run with it. You got to be able to sell those items. That's really no, that's really like the most important thing right there. Have the vision, be able to sell it, but you're not going to be able to sell it if you can't put together a real plan on how to get from one spot to another spot. I have been blessed, Bart, that I have worked with multiple dealerships that have experienced not just like, oh, well, we increased our business by 10%. Remember, you're talking to the why so low guy. 10% is like, oh, okay, that was what? In a week you did that? Like, okay, no, not enough, right? The number's got to be bigger. The number has got to be massive. I've been blessed to work with a lot of these dealers that have started out, in the 100-car range. And by the time that we were done at that dealership, we were in 800-car range. And, and we've been able to do that multiple times, with multiple dealerships in multiple markets all over the country. And it all starts with that vision in the mind of there's no reason why we can't be the number one Chevy dealer in Texas. You know what? Why so low? There's no reason that we can't be the number one Chevy dealer in the United States of America. There's no reason we can't be in the top three to move from the top five to the top three Toyota dealerships in the entire country. There's no reason we can't be the number one Toyota dealership, break all-time records, sell 1,000 new cars a month. There's no reason why we can't do that. If you start talking about the reasons that you can't do that, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're not going to do it. But if you start, always start and reaffirm and declare there is no reason why we can't do dot, 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 dot. You take all the circumstances, you push them away. You take that paper ceiling and you literally pull it down, and you take it and you crumble it up and you throw it away. And you're like, we are not doing that. Nothing's going to get in our way. Is it going to take us 1 year? Maybe. Is it going to take us 2 years? Maybe. But we will absolutely get there. Until you have that mindset, until you have that declaration, you are going to be in the exact same spot that you were in or worse.
Love it. So how do we do this? So you've got a store that has that maybe has a limited mentality. And yet what you and I know is there's certain ingredients as leaders. If they do certain things, they're going to get certain results. John Maxwell talked about, which is a real common plan on our podcast. He talks about the 5 levels of leadership. And level 4 is developing people. And what's interesting and frank is I do these masterminds and with dealerships, 12-week masterminds. And when we do an assessment of where they are as leaders when we start, first level is permission. And that means it's on my business card. I'm a manager, but I don't even know what leadership is. Second, that's position. Second is permission, where I built relationships with my people and they love me. So they'll start following me. Third is production. That's where a lot of them are good at production. They're good at desk and deals, but they got fat butts because they don't get off the desk. And number 4 is people development, where they've really developed people. And my goal in life is to change lives, transform lives, but to develop them to be great humans and also have great results. Frank, how to develop? You've got some stores that you've been a part of that have had great lift. How do we get to our people to be people development leaders? And if you can, maybe even tell us the process for that. A store that maybe doesn't have people development, they just had desk managers. And now we're trying to get them to start thinking about developing their people and that developing them to be the best they can be in all areas. What is the strategy, a plan to help us get from that place of lack to the place of just knowing that we can be the best we can be, but executing on a daily basis, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Am I
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, it all starts with number one. It
okay.
all starts with the person. It all starts with one person. Okay. A lot of people, what you just described, Bart, they would love to do. Okay. I would love it if my dealership was number one, the number one Ford dealership in the United States. I would love if that would happen, but they don't want to do the work. They don't
Yeah.
want to do it. And that work begins with number one. One of the little phrases that I like to throw around all the time, right, when it comes to leadership is what you get is what they see. Okay? What you get is what they see. As a leader, okay, what you're going to get from your team is what your team sees in you. If they see you working at 100%, they're going to put in 90%. If they see you showing up an hour early every day, they're going to start showing up 15 minutes early every day. If they see you staying until the last customer leaves, they're going to start staying they're going to start staying until the last customer leaves. If they see you working on your health, working on yourself, if they see you working on self-development, they're going to start doing it too. Are all of them going to do it? Absolutely not. The ones that don't are not your people. You shouldn't be employing them anyway. It doesn't make a difference, right? But what they see is what you get. You have to start with yourself. You have to start with the belief yourself. And this is, honestly, this is one of the biggest challenges that I deal with. It's sitting at a dealership and it's saying, okay, we are going to be the number one fill in the blank, right? We're going to be the number one Stellantis dealer, okay, on the East Coast. And you're like, number one in the East Coast? Are you kidding me? We got to go against Westbury. We got to go against Security. We got to go against all these big dealers in Long Island. These guys are selling, these guys used to sell 500 cars a month. Now they're barely scratching 150. How in the world are we going to do that? Done. Done. That store is done. That store will repeat what it is that they did last year or less.
Mm.
or less. It all starts with numero uno. It starts with the number one person. It starts with that Brian Benstock, that David Long, that Chris Martinez. It starts with those types of people actually saying, okay, this is what we are going to do. And I am going to start doing what is necessary for us to begin to hit this goal.
Mhm.
No, the Brad Wises, the Alex Floreses, so many of these people I have been blessed. Jim Wilkinson, I've been blessed to work with. And it always starts with number one, with the number one person.
Great leaders. I love that. So good because, that's why I love what I do. I'm spending a lot of time in the last year and going forward one-on-one coaching. And for one thing, coaching is so overrated, so misunderstood. It's not coaching. We think of Belichick or, you're probably a Jets fan. So being a Gary guy,
No.
but I'm a Browns fan. Oh my gosh, it's not. But no, it's activation and great coaches like Marshall Goldsmith, who is somebody I partnered up with, who was Alan Mullally at Ford. Alan Mullally's coach was
Yeah,
Marshall Goldsmith. And he's just great at activating the thinking of the person inside. And if that person can't think bigger, like you said, then it's up to us to find questions to activate their brain, to get them to think, to overcome those limited beliefs that they have. But
absolutely. And
Mary and
you
I,
said it right there. You said it right there, Bart.
yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Okay. You said it right there, Bart. It's the one-on-one. It's the one-on-one coaching. The
Yeah,
one-on-one is absolutely, it is the superpower of development. The
yes,
one-on-one time. And most, I don't even want to say most, I'm sorry, 99.99999% of leaders in automotive don't do it the right way. They don't
right,
do one-on-one the right way. They do
right,
one-on-one with, well, oh, here are your stats, and here is a this, and here is a cripper you don't really care about, and I don't know what's wrong with you, and if you don't make some changes, I'm gonna have to make some changes. That all of that is absolutely ridiculous.
right.
That's why, and the salesperson or the team member sitting there saying, you know what, you're right. You do have to make some changes. I'm gonna make a change for you. And then they put in their 2 weeks, or they just no call, no show ever
Yeah,
again after
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's what winds up happening. The one-on-one, Bart, the one-on-one is the silver bullet. Okay? It's the secret sauce. It's the magic pill. It is everything when it comes to developing your team. The number one person has got to spend one-on-one time with their team members. They absolutely most. You can't coach them all the same way, and you can't coach them all in public, and you can't do those things. You need the one-on-one time for the team member to feel safe, for them to feel recognized, for them to feel heard, for them to feel understood, and for them with when those things happen, then the potential for the team member to see the same picture that the leader sees in the leader's head, that is when the potential for that to happen, that's where it starts during the
Love it.
one-on-one.
So a moment ago, I kept interrupting you, but Frank, you know what? The point was, I don't want to do that. It takes time to do that. I don't have time. I got 20 salespeople. I can't do that. Well, all I know is this. I'm from Toledo, man. I went to Toledo public schools. I'm not the sharpest guy in this room or any room I walk in, but I will tell you that every time I walk and do a one-on-one with somebody with intentionality, lives change. And when leaders are as good as me, that's what I'm going to do this year. I'm just going to tell you, Frank, and I'd love to have you join me in some capacity, but I'm going to teach managers how to be great coaches. That's like the
Yes.
whole program just put together. I'm going to teach you like Tony Robbins has a coaching program where you can buy his coaching program. I'm going to be I want to teach managers how to know how to coach at that elite level in
Yes.
our industry. There's a book that Mary got me for Christmas. I haven't read it yet, but it's The Five Types of Wealth. and it's a guy by the name of Sahil Bloom, who's a former Stanford. He's a really bright guy. Plus, he played 4 years of baseball. I think his mama was Indian, and his dad was from, I don't know where he's from, but he was an immigrant. And so you would get this, but what a great name, Sahil Bloom. Played 4 years at Stanford. Brilliant guy, but a great athlete too. But he talks about these 5 types of wealth. Time. Dude, I
Yes.
don't know about you, but that's a big son of a gun for me. I want to
Yes.
have wealth with my time. I don't want to spend time on people that don't want help. Dude, I want to help everybody, but I can't. You know what I mean? The next one is social. The next one is mental. The next one is physical. The next one is financial. Mr. or Mrs. Dealer, GSM, leader within an industry. Can you imagine if you worked on yourself like that? Guess what you are installing into your people? It flows down. Not You talked about the negativity. This is a way to change mindset, and my guess is, Frank, with all your success, that's what you see. Those stores that have massive success have massive mindset, but they think different than anybody else on the planet,
Yes,
right?
and because of the fact that they think different, they communicate differently. Because they communicate differently, the whole team behaves differently. Because they behave differently, they wind up overachieving. And let me also say this as well, okay? Every single dealership, Bart, every dealership is nothing more than a dog with fleas. Okay? They're all dogs and they all got fleas. Every single one of them, okay? The only thing there is no perfect
That's
dealership out there, okay? I have been blessed to work with those elite names, and guess what? They all got problems. Every one of them's got problems. Every one of them's got challenges. Every one of them deals with team members. They deal with things that they gotta deal with. They deal with customers. It just is what it is. That's it. There's no perfect dealership, but not all dealerships are created the same. Not all dealerships perform the same. You could have two NFL athletes, two NFL players, one next to the other. Even though they are both NFL players, they are not the same. They're not. And it's the exact same thing with dealerships as well. There's no perfect one.
Yeah, you and I had a little discussion when we started this. I said, Frank, when we're recording this, I won't necessarily share with everybody the time, but it's after New Year's. We've had New Year's already. We're starting the new year. I said it will only need to take 35 minutes. I don't know what time frame I was looking at, but man, I'm enjoying talking so long I could go another hour. We're almost pushing 45 minutes. So we'll wrap it up here in a minute. But if you're talking to someone who's out there, okay, 2026, they have big dreams. They think they have a good team. They're not so sure. They want to achieve their goals. What are some things that maybe changed you personally that if you can share with them will also help them change professionally? Now, some of these questions I didn't cue you in on. I'm just throwing it at my man Frank. So talk to me about that. What is something you can share with that leader that says, if you can do this within yourself, this worked for me to change my constitution as a leader. Talk to me about that.
Do not let your own personal frustration manifest in your communication.
Oh, dude, that hits home.
Do not let your personal frustration manifest in your communication.
Take that.
We see so many leaders, Bart, that have zero ability whatsoever when it comes to running a motivational sales meeting. They have zero ability when it comes to actually having a proper one-on-one. They have zero ability when it comes to having to talk to their general manager or to the dealer principal or to a regional manager if it's a corporate store. Or they don't have the ability because their frustration winds up manifesting and coming out in their communication. And the two things have absolutely nothing to do with each other. But when a leader, or I shouldn't say a leader wouldn't do that actually, when a manager winds up allowing their own frustration to come out and to manifest in communication, their frustration comes out and then is absorbed. It's then consumed. It's digested by the entire team. And it's sent out in a completely mixed message because a manager will not say, I am so frustrated with the fact that I do not know how to move this store to the next level. They will not say it like that. They will say, you guys can't get us to the next level. You guys don't know this. You guys suck at this. You guys, all that is the frustration of
Yeah.
the manager manifesting in their communication. And a
All
lot of
right.
that frustration comes from very bad places. It comes from the fact that they haven't developed their skills for years. They haven't developed their skills. So they're stuck. They're stuck. Their skill set is still stuck in the day that they actually got the chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I'm not punching down, Bart. I'm not punching down. I'm just saying just the way it is because of the fact that they didn't continually invest in themselves, because they didn't continually grow, because maybe they thought that like they arrived. Maybe they just thought that that was it. Maybe they woke up one day and they looked at the ceiling in their, the ceiling in their bedroom and said, oh my God, it's not going to get any better than this.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
it. Right?
Yeah.
They actually believe that whatever it is that they're doing right now is as good as it's gonna get. And managers that are watching, you have had that thought. You have thought that to yourself. You've thought that to yourself in frustration. I got to listen to this young ass GM. I got to look at this salesperson who has all the potential in the world and I don't. I got to look at this salesperson and I see myself when I was 20 some odd years old with nothing but the world in front of me, with nothing but clear skies, nothing but straight roads, no bumps, no detours. And they get frustrated because they then look at themselves and they're like, I'm stuck. I'm literally stuck in this crappy Staples chair, fake leather, all frayed, arms banged into the desk so many times that the arms are all chewed up. If I lean a little bit too much this way, the whole chair will fall over, and I'm stuck here penciling a deal again, appraising a trade again. And then that frustration just comes right
What's
out.
the solution? What's the solution, bro?
What's the solution? Start to work on yourself.
Yeah.
That's the
So
solution. Work
can
on
I
yourself. Take care of number one.
yeah, can I throw this out?
Mhm.
Because in a minute I want people to be able to reach out to you. But what I would say to somebody, if you're in that position, my name is Bart and I am your friend. To and what I mean by that is you need somebody that you can hang out with every other week for a half hour with a plan in place where you literally really start working on yourself. It might be on communication. It might be on the 5 types of wealth. It might be on John Maxwell's developing the leader within you. But commit to yourself that you're going to work on you. Don't worry about the rest right now because until you work on you, you can't work on anybody else,
Anything else?
right?
You can't, yeah.
In step one in Alcoholics Anonymous, we admitted we were powerless and our lives have become unmanageable. Until you and I admit we got a problem, we're not going to get to the solution, right? So I'm going to really encourage you. You got a couple smart guys on this call. I mean, well, one smart guy and one other guy that's learning.
I don't know about that.
But what I mean by that is you've got some people in here that can help you. And in 2026, I'm passionate about the one-on-ones with people to get them from the place of pit to the place of peace, whatever that means. I've seen marriages changed. I've seen teenagers come back to their parents. I've seen businesses explode. I've seen a lot of, it takes work. There's
Yeah,
no switch. It takes work, but lives change dramatically. And I love
absolutely. I've
it.
seen it all. Bart, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. I've seen weight lost. I've seen medications not have to be refilled. I have seen
Yes.
bad night's sleep go to peaceful night's sleep. I've
Yes.
seen thoughts go from thoughts of rage to thoughts of peace. I have
Yeah.
seen communication go from anger and frustration to love and grace and empathy and understanding. I have seen it all. It is absolutely possible for it to happen. And it
Yeah.
must happen. If you want to transform the lives of others, you must first
Yes.
transform your own life. You
Yeah. You
must
know what?
go first.
Yeah, I wrote that book, Keep the Change, a few years ago, and I wrote it based on the 12 steps of recovery. And I wrote it, took 12 chapters for the 12 steps. And I'm blessed enough to have 40 years of sobriety, an incredible marriage. Yeah, that's by grace of God, right? But I think the 12 steps of recovery are the best motivational steps on the planet. And they're so logical. They were built years ago by Bill and Bob when they founded AA back in Ohio. And their first step one, I admit, step two, came to believe, step three, made a decision, and step four, really did an inventory of our thinking. And in that's where growth expands and blows up.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, I love work, even if you're not an addict, it has nothing to do with addiction. It might just be you've got stinking thinking. Those steps work. And I'm telling you, I've seen incredible life change because of it. Frank, dude, I hope, I pray that we do this again. You and I are kindred spirits from different sides of the coast, but just respect you so much, man.
Thank you, sir.
How did somebody get a hold of Frank Lopes? And is there any closing remarks that you want to talk about what you're doing with your business? If so, please do. And then give us a little bit about how Pops is doing and then how to get a hold of you. Okay.
Yep, I can be found everywhere. I can be found on ChatGPT. Just go in there and type in who is Frank J. Lopes in automotive. It will give you all of my links. You can find me on social media. You can find me each and every single Monday night live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube with Live with Lopes. That starts on Monday, January 5th.
Oh,
Our eighth season starts at that time. Can't wait. It's going to be
congratulations.
absolutely fantastic. And at your dealership, if you need, if you need assistance, if you want to get to that next level when it comes to sales training, when it comes to leadership training, when it comes to in-store training, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to advertising, those are two separate things, by the way. When it comes to marketing and advertising, Strong30 Automotive is here for you. And Pops, how's Pops doing? Let me just say the first thing is that all of the posts that you all see that are, what a blessing, honestly, what a blessing it is that I have my father still. He's 93 years old. The fact that I still have him, my mother just went to be with Jesus back in, just back this past August. But dad is still kicking, man, and he's doing good. And he's got nowhere to go except ahead. And that is it. But
Mhm.
another one of those things, another one of those blessings, sharing the stories, sharing the things that would go on, right? Number one, I have to actually edit those. And I have to, because if I wrote down what would actually, what he would say word for word using all of the words, then definitely I would get banned on Facebook without a doubt. Okay. Without a doubt, I would get banned. Okay. But I edit those. But what's amazing, Bart, I don't know if you've ever noticed on one of those posts when you go in the comments and people say, these conversations remind me of times I
Mhm.
had with my dad, of my grandpa, right? Of my grandfather, that,
Mhm.
that immigrant mentality, all of those, all those types of things. And whenever they say something like that, they always say, please keep sharing these.
Yeah,
Please keep
that's
sharing them. How many memories those posts have brought up for other people. And it's a blessing to have him still. His birthday just passed December 8th, to have him at 93 years old. And I will continue to count my blessings when it comes to that. And I guess there's more good stories coming. Okay.
yeah.
I know there are plenty coming.
Well, come back and join me on this Keep the Change if you would. I just enjoy it so much. For those of you who are used to 35, 40 minutes, this is just because this is such great, deep, rich content and two guys that are getting to know each other. And I'm really honored to be able to have this time with you, looking face to face, even though it's on Zoom, and having a cup of coffee together. I'm richer today because I hung out with you for this last hour. Thank you, Frank Lopes. If you like this one, share it. I know you will. And also subscribe to Frank's podcast and mine as well, so that you can see all the content. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Keep the Change. Frank Lopes, God bless you. Thank you for the impact that you're making in this industry.
Thank you.
Appreciate you so much.